3 years ago, I left the clamor of Seattle behind, trading it for the quiet of Willow Bend, a small town nestled in the Oregon hills. I'd sold my dad's old auto shop to escape the city's grind, honking horns, crowded streets, and endless noise. I craved solitude, the rustle of leaves, and the gentle murmur of a stream at night. My new home sat on 7 acres of forested bliss, a crystal-clear brook cutting through the heart of it. It was perfect, serene, private, my own slice of heaven. When I arrived, the Homeowners Association greeted me with open arms, or so I thought. Margaret, the HOA president, showed up at my doorstep with a blueberry pie and a welcome packet so hefty it could have doubled as a brick. "Just to keep Willow Bend pristine," she said, her smile tight, eyes cold. I figured she was just one of those meticulous types, obsessed with order. But it didn't take long to see Margaret wasn't about beauty, she was about power. Trouble started small. "Daniel, your mailbox is 3 inches too tall. Daniel, your shed's roof isn't the approved shade of gray. Daniel, you can't leave your kayak by the stream." It was like she had a sixth sense for my every move, lurking, ready to pounce on the smallest misstep. I stayed polite, remembering my dad's advice. Don't pick fights with neighbors if you got to live with them. But Margaret wasn't the neighborly type. One crisp fall afternoon, I invited my neighbor, Pete, over for ribs. Pete was a burly, laid-back guy who'd lived here for decades and knew all the local dirt. Over a cold beer, I asked, "What's Margaret's deal? Is she always this intense?" Pete leaned in, his voice low. "She's been running this HOA like her personal empire for 10 years. Cross her, and she'll make your life hell. Keep your head down, man." I nodded, thinking I could avoid her radar. I was wrong. It started with the buzz of chainsaws. I was sipping coffee on my porch one morning in October 2022 when the sound cut through the quiet. At first, I thought a neighbor was trimming trees, but it went on for days. Curious, I followed the noise one chilly afternoon and found workers clearing trees along my stream in my land. I hadn't hired anyone. When I confronted them, they shrugged. Orders from Mrs. Thompson. My gut twisted. I marched to Margaret's house. She opened the door, that fake smile plastered on her face. "Oh, Daniel, don't worry about the clearing. We're just sprucing up the area. It'll look lovely." I told her it was my property. She tilted her head. "Well, that's up for debate." That word debate sent a chill down my spine. What followed was a nightmare. The clearing didn't stop. Soon, lumber and concrete rolled in. Pete tipped me off. Margaret was building a retreat by the stream, a fancy cabin, and it was well onto my land. I laughed at first. It seemed absurd. Who builds on someone else's property? But when I saw the frame rising, my amusement died. I confronted her again, but she brushed me off. "You should be grateful, Daniel. That land was just sitting there, wasted." Stunned, I realized this wasn't a mistake, it was a calculated move. I should have lawyered up right then, but I clung to the hope that reason could prevail. My dad raised me to believe kindness could solve things. Margaret saw kindness as weakness. One night, as I checked the stream, everything changed. Headlights sliced through the trees, blinding me. Margaret's black SUV crept down the dirt path. Her window rolled down, her voice sharp. "Daniel, you can't be here. This is a construction zone." My fists clenched. "This is my land, Margaret. You're the one trespassing." She smirked, like I told a bad joke. "You'll see soon enough it's not yours." She gunned the engine and drove off, the glow of her work lights illuminating the half-built cabin. Something in me snapped. The patient, polite part of me faded, replaced by a cold resolve. This wasn't just about land, Anna Maria, it was about right and wrong. I was going to take it all back. The next morning, I returned to the stream at dawn. Hammers echoed, and the smell of fresh lumber filled the air. The cabin had grown overnight, walls up, roof half done, workers in orange vests swarming like ants. One spotted me. "Sir, you're not supposed to be here." I raised my voice. "I own this land." They exchanged glances, but kept working. They were either scared of Margaret or paid too well to care. I started snapping photos, every angle, every truck, every nail. While crouched near the foundation, I heard footsteps. Making a photo album? Margaret stood there in a tailored coat, sunglasses hiding her eyes despite the overcast sky. "Documenting trespassing." I shot back. She stepped closer, her smile venomous. "That land you think is yours? There's a boundary dispute." I've got papers saying this spot belongs to the HOA jurisdiction. My pulse raced. That's a lie. She winked. It will be true soon enough. That night, I called Pete over for dinner. Margaret's been pulling crap like this forever, he said, cutting into his steak. Most people cave before it escalates. She hits you with fines, complaints, until you sell or surrender. I leaned back, the weight of his words sinking in. But building a house on my land. Pete nodded. Bold as hell. If she gets the county to approve a new survey before you fight back, she might claim it legally. I spent the next week digging through my dad's old files, pulling my deed and survey maps. They clearly showed the stream and the land around it as mine. But I knew Margaret wouldn't move without a plan. At the county office, a clerk named Susan confirmed my fears. A boundary adjustment request, filed by the HOA under Margaret's name, was pending. My stomach dropped. Back home, a new HOA violation notice was taped to my dormy fence was too tall. I crumpled it, realizing this was war, not a dispute. Against my better judgment, I tried talking to Margaret one last time. We met at a cozy diner in town, the smell of pancakes and coffee thick in the air. I don't get why you're doing this, I said. I have every right to that land. She stirred her latte, unfazed. You're looking at it wrong, Daniel. Think of it as sharing. You're not using that land, EM. It'll raise your property value. I slammed my mug down, coffee sloshing. I'm not sharing. I'm not selling. And I'm not letting you steal it. Her smile hardened. We'll see. The next day, the hammering was louder, closer on my side of the stream. I found a shiny new HOA sign planted in my yard, claiming the land. Margaret stood beside it, directing workers like a general. I started filming, ignoring a worker who told me, "Ma'am says no cameras." I hired an old high school buddy, Ethan, a real estate lawyer. He reviewed my evidence and shook his head. She's banking on you not fighting until it's too late. We'll file a cease and desist and challenge her boundary request. Hope flickered, but Ethan warned it could take months, maybe a year. By then, her cabin could be a done deal. Things escalated fast. I came home to find lumber dumped in my driveway, a delivery receipt labeled Daniel Harris, Willow Bend HOA. It was a taunt. That night, I saw flashlights by the stream, Margaret and a man, planting a metal stake with orange ribbon to fake a boundary. I stepped out, phone recording. Caught you, Margaret. Her face paled, but she recovered fast. You're on HOA property, Daniel. I laughed. Nice try. I've got you on video. For once, she had no comeback, just a glare as she stormed off. Ethan used the video to secure an injunction, halting construction. But Margaret didn't stop. She threw a community cabin grand opening, inviting the whole neighborhood to my land. I crashed it, calling out her theft. She called the cops, claiming I was disturbing the peace. I held my ground, filming everything. The judge upheld the injunction, ordering her to clear out in 14 days. But Margaret kept going. Flower boxes, a painted porch, a gravel driveway. On the final day, contractors arrived, not to move out, but to bring in more. The sheriff forced her to empty the cabin, leaving it a hollow shell. As she passed me, her eyes burned with determination. You may have won this round, Daniel, she whispered. But you don't know what's coming. I stood by the stream, the empty cabin looming in the dusk. I'd won for now, but Margaret's parting words echoed. She wasn't done. What do you think? Can someone like Margaret ever back down? Or is this just the start of a bigger fight? Have you ever dealt with a neighbor or HOA pulling something this shady? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe to see how this battle unfolds. Trust me, it's about to get wild.